The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Five College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we run rampant through a converted mill in East Hampton, just like you can do this weekend at the Cottage Street Open Studios. We'll go with Ariel Jessup and Lisa Hersey and get a taste of the many artists who will open their doors for the event.
And we'll discover a new production looking at the history of Northampton and how it intersects with trains for Red Sky Music Ensembles and production of Rhythm and Rails, which they'll perform at Forbes Library on Saturday.
But first, the congressman for the 2nd Congressional District has now had a week to recover from the 43 miles he walked to help raise funds for the Food Bank of Western Mass.
Just in time to fend off another attack on the nation's foodways and food security. Again.
How you feeling? How was your recovery?
You know, it really wasn't that bad as I thought it would be. So, what are you?
It was weird. This was the first year that, towards the end of the march, despite the weather being fine, I was running out of gas. I was like, I gotta keep pushing on. But the recovery afterwards was fine. Talked to some other very fit members of the entourage on the march who had never done it before, and they were like, I had to crawl up the stairs the next day. So luckily I wasn't to that level. Some people tell me that they lost a toenail or they had blisters that bled, and I'm like, I'm usually fine. So
I think I had the beginning of a blister, but other than that, I feel fine.
Good. Maybe we'll have solved this crisis by next year. But
yeah, we have to, because we're not getting younger. So
that's for sure. Time for our weekly check-in with U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, the ranking member of the Rules Committee, Congressman Jim McGovern, in a segment we like to call McGoverning with McGovern. And we just did the March for the Food Bank last week. Last total that the food bank released was $830,000. I know that people have still been continuing to donate, and I'm very grateful that the community has stepped forward to help their neighbors who don't know where their next meal is coming from. But meanwhile, we already saw what happened earlier in November when SNAP was not released as scheduled. And now there's an article in Mass Live by John Misek that says Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey slammed the Trump administration on Tuesday for its plan to withhold SNAP food aid from recipients in most Democratic-controlled states starting next week unless those states provide information about those receiving the assistance. Can you tell us what you know about what the Trump administration wants, why Democratic states are reluctant to give it, and whether this is legal, what he will be wanting to do?
So I don't really think it is legal what he's wanting to do. And what they're trying to do is create a distraction. They're trying to insinuate that a large number of people who are on SNAP are here in an undocumented state, that they're illegal immigrants, as Trump calls them. The bottom line is the federal law is very clear that undocumented immigrants are ineligible for SNAP. 98% of the people on SNAP are full-blown U.S. citizens. There's maybe a percentage or two of people on SNAP who are here, and they're not technically U.S. citizens, but they're fully documented. They're here legally. So, this is not an issue. And so they're mining for data. I think we don't know what other stuff they're looking for, but that's the pretense that they're using. So I praise Governor Healey for calling it out for what it is. Again, rather than using all their energy to try to end hunger, this administration uses all of its energy to try to find ways to take this very, very modest food benefit away from people who really need it. Again, the average SNAP benefit, as we've said, is on average of about $2 per person per meal. That's it. So this is what they're fighting over.
But if everything is on the up and up, as you say, in most cases with SNAP, even in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and in other Democratic-controlled states, what would be the harm in releasing this data? Is it just thumbing their nose at the president as Democratic states, or is there potentially more harm that would be done with releasing this information?
Well, the issue is, too, there's other information that may be contained, that personal information that people provide when they apply for SNAP. I think when people apply for benefits, they don't want their personal information, just tossed all around. We don't know how this administration will use this or weaponize it, but it's costly for the states to do this. It's unnecessary and may end up delaying the benefits for some people who the administration may, want to do a double check on. It's like unnecessary bureaucracy for what? Again, the only way you can get SNAP is to be here legally, period. That's it.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, big news story this week that you have been involved with to a certain degree in a bipartisan way. You tweeted this week, I'm partnering with Republican Representative Thomas Massie and Joaquin Castro to introduce a bipartisan war powers resolution blocking military action against Venezuela. There have been significant cracks in the Republican Party in response to what Trump and the Secretary of so-called War, Pete Hegseth, have done in a campaign to kill alleged drug traffickers off the coast of Venezuela, and then follow-up campaigns killing some of those survivors. Extraordinarily controversial. Some folks, Rand Paul, Republican senator, most of the people who have been supportive of the president bombing the boats, many of his biggest supporters are now saying it's illegal to bomb someone who's clinging to wreckage. Tell us about this war powers resolution. I thought the Congress already had that power, and what you think the response will be from the White House.
Look, we want to make sure we don't get into another war. That's what this debate, that's what this vote is intended to be about. You know, as we speak, the administration is bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela. They are amassing U.S. troops in countries around Venezuela. Trump this week said that he intends to enforce a full aerial blockade over Venezuela. These are acts of war. So Congress needs to be involved in all of this. Trump says this is about drugs. That's a lie. I mean, Trump just pardoned the former president of Honduras, like one of the biggest drug traffickers in the world. He was serving a 45-year sentence for his role in pushing drugs into the United States. He just pardoned him. He pardoned another guy who was, bringing in fentanyl from China. This is not about drugs. So what is it about? I suspect it's about oil. And I don't want to go to war over oil. I don't know too many people in my district who want to go to war over oil. We tried that already in Iraq, and that was a terrible, terrible disaster. So, look, war is a serious thing. We're getting sucked into one. And Congress needs to, live up to its constitutional responsibilities. And some of us are going to try to see whether we can, make Congress work for once on this issue.
Does there need to be a resolution, or can't Congress already do this? Isn't that part of the power of Congress already?
Right. Well, but this resolution would actually, be about reeling him in. We have the authority. We now need to utilize that authority. That's what this is about.
The government was shut down until last month, and the Democrats held the line for a long time about health care costs. The Republicans convinced some of the Democrats that they were willing to negotiate on this deal. Where does that stand now? Is there an Obamacare fix in the works? Have the Republicans come up with a plan? What are you hearing about the future of health care and the rising costs that are set to skyrocket very shortly?
Well, nothing this week. We're adjourning later this afternoon. I've got the schedule for next week. Nothing on health care for next week. And then we'll have one more week before the holiday break. As of right now, we have no definitive word from the House or Senate leadership that they intend to bring anything to the floor on health care, which means that for millions and millions of Americans, their health care bills will skyrocket. Millions will decide that they can't afford health care and go without, which is disastrous. And when people who are otherwise healthy opt out of getting health insurance, that raises costs for everybody else. This is unconscionable. The president the other day said affordability is a con job. Well, the only con job is him. People can't afford their health care. People can't afford their groceries. People can't afford their rents. It is a real issue. And if you can't afford, things, you go without. And going without health care, it's just unconscionable. We need to do something about this. And to those Republicans, and I've been telling them, for those Republicans who have said, oh, no, we'll resolve this by the end of the year, don't you worry, we're going to hold them to account. And even to those Democrats who believed that somehow there was a pathway forward based on a wink and a nod, if we can't get something done, there's some accountability that needs to happen here.
Another area where a Democrat may need to be held accountable is someone that you have been close to, a former colleague and now the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, a former candidate for vice president of the United States. There's a big article in the New York Times this past weekend, how fraud swamped Minnesota's social service system on Tim Walz's watch. Prosecutors say members of the Somali diaspora, a group with growing political power, were largely responsible. President Trump has drawn national attention to the scandal amid his crackdown on immigration. How do you think this situation should be held by your former colleague and friend, Tim Walz, in Minnesota, and what do you think the outcome will be?
Well, he needs to do a full and transparent investigation about what happened and what is currently happening. People who have misused taxpayer monies need to be held accountable. He, like any governor, needs to take responsibility for any kind of mismanagement under his or her watch, period. But the president has used this opportunity to go after Somali immigrants and who are U.S. citizens. And I find that particularly disturbing. I mean, the stuff that he's been saying is unhinged. I mean, it's something that if anybody, who we work with said those things, we would hold them to account. We would condemn that kind of language. So yeah, Tim Walz needs to assume responsibility for any mismanagement, and he needs to make this thing right. I think he needs to do that because it's the right thing to do. I think he needs to do that because it's politically in his interest to do it. I mean, he's running for re-election. If he doesn't, then he will be held to account. But the president, calling immigrants trash and garbage. I mean, I'm ashamed that those words are coming out of the president of the United States. And I'm also ashamed that the condemnation of those words by some of my colleagues on the Republican side has been non-existent. I mean, we're hearing crickets from them. We have to be better than this. And we all have to demand that our public officials be held to a higher standard, whether they're members of our party or not.
A listener question, Congressman McGovern, from Josh Jacobson. It is a little bit convoluted, and I may need to send your office some further information about this, but it was something I hadn't heard of before. He says this is regarding a loophole in existing cigarette regulations in the Commonwealth. Since the menthol ban came into effect, R.J. Reynolds has been hard at work bypassing these specifically written pieces of legislation, and he has some specific documentation, including an article from Chemical and Engineering News that essentially says a biochemist at the Duke School of Medicine believed he knows how tobacco companies are modifying their products to evade these new menthol laws, and there's been a chemical analysis that has supposedly proven him right, saying that a British shaving company product is now being used to replace the menthol in cigarettes. It's a synthetic coolant. His main concern is that these Newport non-menthol green packs are showing up in the Commonwealth, and he says even though he's a resident of Hampden County, he's sure that they're showing up in your district as well. What do you know about this loophole in the menthol ban in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
Well, I assume it's more than a Massachusetts issue. It's a national issue.
Right.
But I don't really know a lot about it, to be honest with you. But I'm interested to learn more. So if you could send me his information, I can maybe get back to him.
Your poor Northampton office, the guy in your Northampton office, Kobe, ends up having to field all this stuff from me to you.
But it sounds like a serious issue. And
yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
If smoking isn't bad enough, smoking what may amount to coolant is probably not a great idea either. We are a week past the March for the Food Bank, which you went on the entire 43 miles to support. As I mentioned earlier, the Food Bank's current total is over $830,000 raised for our neighbors in need. The governor has an anti-hunger task force that will have a listening session on Tuesday in Springfield. If you're want to learn more about what the Commonwealth is doing in response to these proposed SNAP cuts, and maybe with the withholding of all SNAP to Democratic states, I'm curious if you had a particularly interesting conversation with anybody during those 43 miles between Springfield and Greenfield over 2 days last week.
Yeah. I had a million interesting conversations with people. And because you always ask me what makes you feel hopeful. I mean, hundreds of people joined this year and walked. The weather was better than it has been in previous years. But still, it was a little chilly. But people feel passionately about this. People want to live in a country. They want to live in a Commonwealth where nobody's hungry. And I think a lot of people said to me over and over, like, why is this such a difficult thing to resolve? What am I missing here? Why is it that our politicians can't come together and just make sure that everybody in this country has enough nutrition? And I asked a lot of them, why are you marching? I mean, why aren't you just sending a check or staying home and cheering us on from the sidelines? And a lot of people said they felt that the time has come for them to do more, that they really feel that now's the time to actually get out and march. And I found that very not only hopeful, but inspirational. We have some really incredible people in our community, and you know that. I mean, we have great elected officials, and we have great people who, are working in every field you can imagine, who took the time to participate. And it meant something to them. It means something to me. I know it means something to you, but it's going to mean a lot to the countless people in Massachusetts who are hungry. Again, you soar after 2 days and 43 miles, but your mind is filled with, with all kinds of great thoughts because you meet some incredible people, young students, as well as people who are retired, who are part of this effort. And I want to say to you that I appreciate your perseverance on this because, I mean, you're like the Pied Piper that everybody kind of gathers around and follows. And I think if you weren't there, I'm not sure people would be as committed. And so I think it was a great march, and the amount that you announced that has been raised so far is incredible, the most ever. I feel uplifted, and I feel hopeful, and I feel that we all need to fight harder to eradicate hunger, not just in Massachusetts, but nationwide. I talked to somebody who suggested that we do a series of hearings all across the Commonwealth. and maybe do it by congressional district, again, to bring people together in those congressional districts to get, more coordination on the issue and to actually start fleshing out a strategy to end hunger, which we're thinking of doing as well. But anyway, it was a great march.
Well, I'll just add that I was particularly proud of my 12-year-old Pax, who marched 13 miles the first day.
Pax was great.
Yeah, and then did the whole thing, the 26 miles the second day, raised over $1,000, and also stuck his tongue out twice at the cameras for 22 News, which is exactly what I both did and would do if I was his age, which, it's fun. It's fun to get on those news blooper reels.
No, but I talked to him on both days, and just a remarkable young man. But again, he thought it was important to spend time doing this as opposed to something else. Everybody who was part of that march made a conscious decision to be there. They want to make a difference, and they did. And a lot of people are going to benefit from their activism, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, I was glad I didn't tell him that Patriots kicker Borregales was in Turner's Falls handing out turkeys the day of the second day of the march, or else he probably wouldn't have done the second day there. But yes, I hear totally exactly what you're saying. U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, freshly off the March for the Food Bank last week, muscles recovering, and calling in with us every Thursday, McGoverning with McGovern. If you've got a question for the congressman, you can send it our way, thefab413@nepm.org, and I'll ask it on your behalf. Thanks, Congressman.
All the best.
Later in the show, we'll get a hands-on tour of some of the amazing artists opening their spaces and work up for the public in East Hampton at the Cottage Street Open Studios this weekend and next.
But that'll be after we hear the music connecting Northampton's history to the railroads and tracks of time in Red Skies Music Ensemble's latest production, Rhythm and Rails.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Hashi Pottery in 50 Arrow Gallery at Eastworks. Japanese-inspired ceramics and textiles, where every piece is handmade in the Pioneer Valley for home, ritual, or someone dear. HashiPottery.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastside Grill, celebrating 40 years in downtown Northampton, serving steaks, seafood, and American cuisine to the Pioneer Valley and beyond. Open Wednesday through Monday, eastsidegrill.com.
We're in Forbes Library.
But we commandeered a study room in Forbes Library so we don't have to worry about being too loud. The other folks that don't have to be worried about being too loud are the Red Skies Music Ensemble and Rhythm and Rails, a railroad exhibit and history exhibit with music in the Forbes Library.
Hey.
What's your name?
Trudy Williams, and there is no exhibit except for the musicians, the narration, then the slides and the storytelling.
So you mean an exhibit?
Yeah.
It's a performance.
It's a tour of the history and impact of the railroads on Northampton and the region from the time it came in until now.
From the mid-1800s until the early 20th century, almost everyone in Northampton lived within the sound or sight of the railroad. There were trains on the tracks that ran across Main Street, leading to the busy roundhouses, or one of the 3 railroad stations, and you were great. Until the turn of the 20th century, there were 3 stations in town, each for a different rail company. In landscape paintings, artists portrayed what many considered the tragedy of machines permanently ruining pristine places of natural wonder, carving out their steel straightaways. Others celebrated in artwork the majesty, power, and potential of this new technology.
And it has storytelling, it has slides, it has fantastic music. It's this Saturday at 2:30, and we hope everyone's toes are tapping.
This combination of music, history, and performance is something that's kind of at the core of what Red Skies does. When did you happen upon that particular alchemy of things?
The time it actually sparked is, I like history, I like discovering things in archives, and there was an exhibit at the Lincoln Center Performing Arts Library of Take Me Out to the Ball Game on everything to do with arts and baseball. But off in the corner was one of those old dusty things, glass cape, and it had like what looked like handwritten artifacts. I like that kind of stuff, so I'm the lone person that's like looking at that. And I see this little piece of paper, and I realized, wait a minute, this is Take Me Out to the Ball Game, that song? And I'm looking at this handwritten thing, scratched out, edited. It goes like this, the first verse. This guy's in love with a woman. He says, should I take you to a show? Should I take you to dinner? What should I do? And she says, no, I'll tell you what you do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out. I said,
It's
what?
the prequel to Take Me Out to the
What?
Ball Game.
This is not sung by a boy to her brother or father. This is a woman saying to this guy, if you know me, you know what I like. Take me there. I've been there. I go there all the time. This is what I want. And I thought, well, this song was written at the time when suffrage engine really began to finally make it. This is very interesting. Being a musician for many years, being in love with history, I've always felt like music echoes all of our feelings and times and conflicts, triumphs, tragedies, hopes, everything. If you look at the music, you can use it to unpack so much. And if you spend some time in the archives, things will start to spark in your imagination.
The railroad first came to Northampton in 1845, rolling up the valley from Springfield. Before long, Northampton became a major hub of the New England Rail Network, as our agrarian town changed to an industrial city of mills and manufacturing, from silk to machinery, cutlery, furniture, buttons, brushes, and more. As you can imagine, the social landscape changed too. The traditional home-based economy now competed with opportunities for wage labor that enticed our young men and women. A new vocabulary arrived, which is with us still. Ever had or lost a train of thought? Or admitted, I'm afraid that train has left the station. Or called something a complete train wreck. Have you ever gotten off track? Been derailed? Railroaded? Sidetracked? Asleep at the switch? But got back on track. And before long, our town divided into the right and the wrong sides of the track. As always, there was a musical response to what was on people's minds.
Here's this immense thing, this train that changes everybody's concept of time. People's sense of time is how long to walk from here to their neighbor or to the farm, or, how much they can plow in a day. Suddenly the railroad comes in. I think it's hard for us to imagine the enormous change.
Well, think of even what the internet has done for us in our wait time for communication, or it's instant gratification. And we're speaking with Trudy Williams, who is, let's call you the conductor of this railroad experience that people can have at the Forbes Library, this Saturday multimedia musical experience.
Sooner or later, these iron horses are going to steal our sons away for employment, and railroad men will entice our daughters to faraway homes and fortunes. But my children, I do love that they might have a life broader and more adventurous than mine. What an opportunity to spark their curiosity, to release them from our tiny village into an enticing, limitless future. Think of it, my daughters, liberated from years of endless home labor, from spinning and spinning. I love that there will be nothing holding them back. The trains are frightening, and yet they have such glorious potential. As in any complex harmony, all the voices together tell the story much better than any lone voice could. The arrival of the Iron Horse ultimately offers up a multi-layered promise of progress, and that's something we can and should celebrate.
That was actually Tracy Kramer.
We can't imagine what it means for the first time to go 15 miles an hour, what things look like, and just broadening that sense of what else is there to know that I don't know about. I just have to interject something, Bell Hooks. I love this quote. As she said, the local, when fully imagined, is universal. There's plenty of facts about Northampton specifically, but I think it can resonate with anybody because this was happening all around. And how do we deal with the change that we're given, and the change in relationships and the conflicts, the attraction, the fears? In terms of Northampton, most people don't know that Northampton was belted and woven with railroads. There were 5 places in this little town back then where right on ground level, the railroads crossed the streets, the familiar streets, Main Street, Pleasant Street, Bridge Street, 5 different places. The railroads were coming and going, and it took years to build those tracks. So we don't realize what people were living with. So does that resonate today? Well, what are our upheavals, and how do we manage to hold on to the things that matter to us and keep our glue together with each other? The Industrial Revolution, and particularly the use of the steam engines applied to rail, brought in something that is equivalent to, like you were saying before, the internet. Now we're seeing it as AI, which is quite staggering, for good or bad. I think we're in a similar radical time of what do we do about this change and how do we harness the potential of it? Because to me, history is about potential, and the direction it goes in depends on what we do socially. So we have to not lose faith that we can manage this change. But I feel like programs like this, if people come away just feeling like they knew something they didn't know before, if you can experience history a little bit differently, maybe we could experience each other differently. My favorite comment is people come out and say, I never knew that. Now my background is I have a PhD in developmental psychology, so I think a lot about what do we need to thrive and grow. So there's this thing that the brain studies have shown that when we listen to stories and when we listen to music, as much as they can measure it, our brain waves start out all disparate, but they come in synchrony. And music does that, and storytelling does that. I think it's aligning with our heartbeat. I think we are physical, and we are also emotional, but our train tracks are the physical.
I feel like railroad songs are kind of their own genre. Like there is something that happens because of the rhythms that they needed to make sure they were hitting the rails and the ties in time, that there is this interesting connective tissue in railroad songs that mimics the tracks themselves. What did you find in putting the musical portion of this program together that ties those songs to now?
Well, I think what you said was said very well. I think there's something so manifest about the rhythm, and I think that's manifest in us, in our heartbeat. Later on, it really begins, as music often does, to echo the social reality. And then there's songs about romance, because there's a new place to meet people and to flirt, and there's the stations. You know, before the rails came in, you had some communal space, you had churches, and you had your living room. You know.
Now all of a sudden you got a train car. We're going through the tunnel of love on this train ride.
Well, we do have a song about that. And it's interesting because the early trains, for example, who knew? They had no windows. They had windows, but this is Northeast New England, right? Yeah. No, nothing shielding them. They're open. So steam, wood, coal. The embers would fly in. People would burn. Anyway, we have this song of romance where they go through a tunnel, and one of the cinders gets in her eye. And so he tries to help her, but they happen to go into the tunnel at that moment. What happens at the other end? Well, you'll have to come see the program.
Trudy has now selected a random assortment of so many of the people that are in there. Let's shut this door so we don't disturb the rest of the library again. Still here at the Forbes.
Yeah, there's that poor woman in the chair who just keeps looking at us like we're crazy.
What the hell are they doing? They keep going by us. They bring in all these people. They got all these instruments. Tell me your name, where you're from, and what your relationship is to this Rhythm and Rails performance on Saturday.
Oh, well, I'm Bill Cutler. I live nearby, and Trudy invited me to come and join in on a song on my guitar.
I'm Jim Armenti, and I got an email from Trudy, and apparently that's all it takes sometimes.
But you did some original songwriting for this?
Well, I had an original song written about trains that is in this.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant. I am the narrator, I'm a singer, and I'm also the rehearsal music director. This is my second go-around with Red Skies Ensemble.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Weiss. This is also my second show with Trudy, and I'm a fiddle player, and I live about half an hour away.
Hi, I'm Shirley Van Kanen. Play ukulele on this particular thing, and it's also my second try with Trudy, which is awesome.
How's this performance different from the last one that you did with Trudy?
Well, this one is totally focused on trains, which is really exciting because there's so many rhythmic possibilities in trains. They've just been inspiring songs forever. The last one was about music and Hadley in the 1800s, and so this uses some of the same ideas of music, but is focused around the railroads.
Train beats all day for me, except for when I play the clarinet.
Khalees was saying earlier that, train music is a genre in and of itself. What are some of the songs that people might recognize that are part of this performance?
We have some rare 19th century stuff that no one's ever heard. The ones they will know are, there's a Grateful Dead tune having to do with a famous engineer.
I'm out.
You could have said Big Rock Candy Mountain.
The Big Rock Candy Mountain, the original hobo version, not Burl Ives cleaned up version.
Oh, wow, I like that.
Yep. Steve Goodman's City of New Orleans, of course, classic. Some folks will have heard some of them, and some you'll have never heard, and they're great.
What was really impossible was to choose the song because there are thousands and thousands of people writing songs about and to this day, even though most of us keep forgetting about trains at this point, which we hope will change.
Because we're talking about East-West Rail kind of in this performance as well, too, which is something that has been reignited, something that people are hoping for. There is the Valley Flyer now that goes down to New Haven. I think it goes the whole way.
And also there's the bike trail, which is an offshoot of the rail, which is interesting because...
rail trails.
Yeah, and it kind of comes around. The train did do a lot of destructive stuff, but now it's coming around that the trains may be a real help to us for what we want to preserve.
I've absolutely not forgotten about trains. My parents live in Maryland, and I have avoided flying to see them for over a year now by taking the train, so I'm a big fan.
It's so hard to get around Philadelphia because there's always an accident.
Jim, what's your original train song about?
Trains.
Does it have a local focus?
Yeah, everybody from my town will know the song. It's part of the library collection. They had a beautiful poster in the library. I used to go up there when I was writing all those songs about libraries.
The West Hampton Library we're talking about now.
West Hampton Public Library.
We're at the Forbes right now.
Not the Forbes Library. And there was a beautiful poster of one old-timey, locomotive coming over a rise, and the flat cars were just piled with books falling off, and it's just at the bottom it said Train of Thought.
What is the coolest thing that you've learned about trains being a part of this show?
We book tickets nowadays, right? We book seats, we book restaurants. That comes from the practice of going to the station. You would write your name in the station master's book, what time you wanted to leave, where you were going. So you booked your passage, and that turned into what it is today. I had never known that.
I was surprised to learn that in the early trains, there were no windows in the cars, and that there was like wood and coal soot flying around all the place. It was a pretty risky place to be, I think. And learning about the brakemen on trains. I never knew that the original brakemen were sort of like running across the roof of the train to pull the brakes and...
Extreme sports on railroads is what it was, yeah.
Well, like you see it in silent movies and you're like, that can't be real, but nope, that comes from a real place.
Another thing that's stuck in my mind is that people used to bet on the train when they bought a ticket. They could actually place a bet about whether or not the train was going to be on time and pay extra money. And if the train wasn't on time, they would win the bet. And if the train was on time, then the company would keep their extra money.
They should do that now on airplanes.
That sounds so not legal.
Well, we don't want to keep you from your rehearsal, and we want to be able to eavesdrop on some of it, so we'll get you back in there again. Go back to the quiet part of the library. It's cool that they are rehearsing in the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Library, which is part of the Forbes Library in Northampton, because he was known as Silent Cal, and it's going to be anything but silent, I think, when they start playing. The fabulous Tracy Grammer is part of this performance, and you can see the full performance of Rhythm and Rails Saturday, December 6th at Forbes Library in Northampton at 2:30. Find more info both on the Forbes Library page and through the Red Sky Music Ensemble's website.
And I think the performance is free, right?
I believe so.
I believe it is. Now let's see the secret world of artists, as many of those with studios at Cottage Street Studios will open their doors to all of us for 3 days of community and exploration and super fun holiday gift giving. We get a preview of Cottage Street Open Studios next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Comfort Bagel, scratch-made artisan sourdough bagels, spreads, and sandwiches for breakfast or lunch on Main Street in Westfield and at their new location in Holyoke at 92 Race Street. ComfortBagel.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping Western Mass families achieve greater energy independence through solar power, battery systems, and air source heat pumps. Northeast-solar.com.
We are in an elevator.
We are in an elevator.
1 Cottage Street, East Hampton. What's your name?
My name is Ariel Jessup Humpage.
And what do you do?
I am a painter, collage artist, and an art therapist in private practice. So I also see my clients here.
I'm Lisa Hersey, and my business is Antler Editions, and I do bookbinding.
And we are leaving the elevator to the 5th floor of 1 Cottage Street, where this weekend, the 6th and the 7th, there will be open studios. You can come and ride the elevator and hang out with the artists like we're going to do right now.
Yeah, the 13th, yes.
Is it next week as well?
And the 13th, yes.
Oh, nice. So
bonus day.
Bonus day.
I love these creaky old warehouse buildings that have been repurposed for the arts.
Let's see, we can poke our head in here. This is my office. I do talk therapy here, we do art therapy over there, and also this is where I work and kind of have my own studio practice.
Tell me you're selling the maybe you're overthinking it painting, because I have a feeling that this year it might go very quickly.
I will be selling the maybe you're overthinking it painting.
In fact, I might need that for my sister.
You let me know, I'll put a red dot on it.
Tell me about art therapy and like how you're combining it with your other more medical therapeutic practice.
It honestly depends on the client. So some people are really into art therapy. Some people are like, the only way I can start talking is if I'm doing something with my hands and making something, and it kind of opens things up in a way that just sitting there, like looking at someone like this can feel like kind of intimidating and hard. Some people just want to do talk therapy, and we just sit here and do that. And sometimes we combine them. Like, ooh, that sounds really intense. Does that feel really intense? Let's go over here and grab some paint or grab some collage or like work through that in a way that's not just all up like cerebrally.
I'm assuming you won't be offering therapy during open
You know,
studios.
I've thought about it. I know I will not be offering therapy during open studios.
Next time.
I feel like, no, you probably should try it and see if it works.
What happens, you know.
Let's go more,
mosey.
do more
Yeah.
exploring here at Open Studios in East Hampton.
So on this hallway, I'm set up down at the end, but over here on the right is Beth Reamer, who does pottery. Further up, Ariel will be set up with a jeweler and another potter. And then further down the hall is Kara Taylor, who is also a ceramic artist.
How often do you do open studios here at One Cottage Street?
They always happen in December. This is my messy area. It will be cleaned up for the weekend, but right now is chaos, where I do my bookbinding and I teach bookbinding workshops over here.
Is it called Antler Editions?
Antler Editions,
That's
yeah.
cool. Tell us about the name.
The name, I kind of wanted to come up with like some kind of bodily bone type thing and came up with the word antler after kind of going through a whole list of bones and all of them sounding really gross and medical sounding.
Not femur folios.
I know. A femur was the bone that I went to, too. Isn't that humorous?
Tibia tones.
I love that you also have a print up here that says, cheese rules everything around me. As a Wu-Tang Clan fan. Cheese. Get the money. Dollar bill, yo. That's more of a message that I can get behind personally.
Absolutely. And it will be available at Open Studios.
Do you mean the cheese or that print?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Open Studios classic for having cheese and wine.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that'll happen here to a certain degree too.
And donut on
And
the fifth floor
coffee.
as well. Wake the Dead
Wake the Dead
donuts.
donuts.
And take
Love
away-
those guys. They were at the end of the food bank march.
The cool thing about this is that, like, even though there's an art walk for East Hampton that happens like the first of the month, like this doesn't happen very often, so you're kind of going all out for it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of people spend, like, I spend my time in my studio working on custom work and don't really invite the public in except for workshops. So for Open Studios, it's really like cleaning and flipping the space and turning it into something that can be easily shoppable, and any hazards of stuff, like my equipment gets like put away and stuff. So it's a real big effort to make it happen in the studios.
What's a fun bookbinding gift besides cheese rules everything around me?
Oh my God, my tiny book ornaments.
So
They
they're little
are-
tree ornaments.
Yeah, little tiny books that you can hang on your tree, and you can write a little Christmas memory every year. And I
That
also
is wicked smart.
Yes. This place is very dangerous for me.
How so?
I like books, and I especially like bespoke books.
You're in your happy place.
The therapist loves to see that. For you,
I
Khalees.
do. Feel like you're feeling fulfilled. I'm feeling fulfilled. Great way to start the day. All right, let's in the interest of time,
Yeah.
we like to encourage people like start on the 5th floor, get a coffee, make your way down.
Wind down.
Yeah, which is what we will do.
One Cottage Street is connected to Riverside Industries, and I remember from when I once upon a time worked in Eastworks that because of the nature of the building, people would kind of walk into your studio, just wander in, regardless of what you were working on or in the middle of. Do you find that because you're connected to another building that kind of dissuades that you end up with less interaction with the public in that way, less surprises, shall we say?
Yes, definitely.
There's a dog.
Hi, Hi, sweetie.
Please hold her.
Hi, what's your name?
Laura Radwell.
When you are in the midst of an art project and your dog, after we opened the door to your open studio,
Yes, my
almost
dog
got out.
Almost escaped, which would have been a big tragedy, which would have changed the entire weekend.
Yeah, this studio is gorgeous. You've got so many big, wonderful windows and then so many incredible paintings
Yes, thank you very much.
What are you working on right now?
Welcome.
You're clearly in the middle of it.
Well, we are framing.
Tell us, describe your style of painting if you had to.
Oh, goodness gracious. I think for the last 10 years, I've been mostly doing what I call abstract landscape, based on inner impressions of the things that I've absorbed over my very long lifetime at this point, and all my outdoor pursuits in the valley, and I love the valley. So it's impressionistic in a way.
What's your dog's name?
My dog's name is Coco.
So the painting we're looking at behind us that has something that's a little more concrete, even though it's a little abstract. Is this an older work?
This is a work that I did at a residency in France. I was so struck by the region of France that had all these very small, charming, stone, simple buildings. And at the same time, I was thinking about the whole problem of global immigration and people looking for shelter. So the theme of shelter was in the forefront of my mind at the time. And I did a whole series, and I thought nobody's ever going to want to hang these on their walls. And lo and behold, I think they're all gone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Except that
for
one,
this one,
which you can get at Open Studios this weekend.
Well, if I want to let it go.
Thanks for letting us see your cute dog and see your wonderful paintings.
Oh, you're most welcome, and I hope I'll see you this weekend.
Yeah. This is fun because this is like a whirlwind. I like this. It's like a shopping spree of Open Studios exploration where you can see like, this is what I need.
You're doing the marathon of Open Studios right now.
This is like a fraction of who will be all open. I
Yeah.
think we have 30.
There's 30 artists that will be open. Also on the 4th floor, there's a writing group, Kate Senecal. She's new this year, so she will be set up. Yeah.
Do you ever get to use this giant press?
I
That's just
do.
here?
I use it for giant books that I have to press in place.
Yeah,
so
it's an incredibly huge press.
Yeah, it's a veneer press that the rumor is somebody bought it years and years ago, but couldn't move it out of the building. So it just stays here, and the bookbinders get to use it.
That's great.
Here it comes back again. More at Cottage Street Studios as we traverse the bottom 3 floors of the facility and see more of the artists and get an extra special present from the print shop nestled in Guild Art Supply's new home, East Hampton.
And we continue with our guides, artist and art therapist Ariel Jessup Humpage and bookbinder Lisa Hersey as the folks of the Converted Mill get ready for Open Studios this weekend.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Down to the 3rd floor.
3rd floor of One Cottage Street, Open Studios, East Hampton this weekend, meeting with some of the artists, getting a whirlwind tour.
People who know this building because I would be lost.
I couldn't even find the proper entrance, which may be helpful to tell people. Where should people go? Because there's the Riverside Industries building, and then there's sort of like a back entrance.
Yeah, so this weekend, the front entrance that you were locked out of will be open, and there will be greeters right at the door to let you know you're in the right spot.
Come on in.
Hi, I'm Monty.
Monty, how are
That's
you?
Khalees.
Hi.
Good, and you?
Hi.
What is
Congratulations
what's?
on your successful march.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Thanks a lot. What's the name of this studio and you all and all that?
I'm Eileen Travis, and I am part of the Travis Sister Studio, along with my sister Diane Travis.
Nice. And what can we expect to find here during Open Studios?
All kinds of things. We are going to have some traditional woven crafts, Bridget's crosses. We'll have a lot of crochet and fiber art.
Is this a crocheted Christmas tree?
No, it's a crocheted arch.
Oh, yeah.
Eileen does large-scale crochet installation. One of her more well-known pieces is the poppy field from Art in the Orchard. And we just finished taking down 2 pieces from Art in the Orchard.
Yeah, good thing, because if you had a poppy field on the ground the last couple days, it would be a snow-covered crochet.
Yeah.
It'd be felted at this point.
Yeah, right.
This is made of hyperbolic planes.
Are those aircraft that are like wicked good?
I don't know, it's very heavy though, so I don't think it should go outside.
Where are you going to set that up? Right in here, so folks will be able to see it. People take pictures under it.
You've heard of the golden arches, but have you heard of the crocheted arches? Only at Open Studios.
It's a piece called Growing Hyperbolic, and I'm intrigued by math and crochet.
It looks amazing.
We're on a
whirlwind tour. Thank you, Travis Sisters.
You can see it's these are working studios. So usually, like my space is sort of set up for people to come because it's my office and people come. But a lot of these spaces, like Lisa's, not to throw her under the bus, can get like a little chaotic. And so it's like there's always this like mass push for open studios to be like, how do we make this feel like a space where someone's gonna buy something?
Yeah.
Clean up, company's coming.
Company quality, my mother used to say.
Exactly. Because sometimes people don't clean up that much, and that's also kind of, there's charm to that.
Yeah, people want the chaos of art.
Exactly, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Now we're entering the studio of Lynn Adams. Hi, Lynn.
Thank
I'm
you
Monty.
so much for coming. It's so nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you in
having us.
person.
Khalees, yeah.
I'm a big fan. I
Oh,
love
thanks.
your show.
Oh, awesome.
Hey.
Tell us what you do here, Lynn.
Well, I do 3 things. I work on my own paintings, and I show in galleries. I teach, and I show in open studios twice a year.
So what'll be available at Open Studio?
Pretty much everything you see on the walls right now. And this is a little bit about my teaching. I teach regular classes, and you can see student work.
I see a stark difference between the things that you're teaching and the things that you make for yourself.
Yeah. So I teach a lot of different kinds of styles, kind of meet people where they want to be. Everything from realism to impressionism to abstract. And I'm doing a little more abstract right now. I used to be more of a realist, but always landscape.
I love that. You're the second painter we've talked to in this building that's kind of moving in that direction. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's freeing.
Well, thanks for showing us around.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for
See you this weekend, Open Studios. And next weekend.
It's such a whirlwind.
All right, now we're out in front on actual Cottage Street, exiting the Riverside main entrance. And then there's the very handily labeled One Cottage Street building.
There is, yes, in our beautiful old school nod to what once was. So you have to actually come outside of One Cottage Street to get to the Guild.
And that's the sound of a canal right there, or a culvert that we're walking right by that runs under Cottage Street.
All the water coming from Perfume Pond down to Neshwanatuck.
Here we are in the Guild. Hey, old neighbor.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
I'm Bill Muller, owner of Big Wheel Press and Guild Art Supply.
Bill used to have 100 Main Street,
Right.
Northampton, and 93.9 The River used to be right below it.
And we just got a phone book in the mail the other day. They still exist. And
Wow.
we're still listed at 102 Main Street, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah, that's
we're
fun.
here.
Right next to the old shortcut that you used to be able to take from the parking lots to Main
Yeah,
Street.
we used to. Everybody
No
used to
longer-
run. Kids
Oh,
would
God.
run up and down that ramp.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to record commercials in the basement. You'd hear. Oh, gotta take that one again.
And then the flyover to get your signature sandwich at Sirius.
I used to. They had a
That's
sandwich
the
named
sandwich.
after it. Oh, old times, Bill. This is great. But tell us about your move to East Hampton. It's been a long time now.
It's 6 years.
Yeah.
We started at the beginning of COVID. We moved. So we were 36 years on Main Street and 6 years here.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing this for a little while.
What do you have going for Open Studios?
So we have Big Wheel Press going for Open Studios.
Let's go check it out.
This is where we print a line of about 600 greeting cards and little notebooks. This is our main press room, but if you head back this way, we're also Pierce's Frame Shop, which has been around since 1894.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one of the oldest businesses in the valley. This is our workshop area where we also design our cards. I do all the designing for our cards. This is our area that we are restoring old presses. Some of these range from 1880s up through 1950.
Incredible. And then you've got this gigantic laser press.
You know, these are large-scale digital printers, and one of the
G-Clay? Yeah.
G-Clay style. So one of the things we're doing with it right now is, if you hike at all, you can't go to stores and buy topo maps anymore.
Ah.
So we are now doing topo maps on demand for people.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How are you getting the information? Do you have to do your own research?
Except for the days that the government was shut down, the U.S. Geographic Survey still has them online for us to download. So this is a historic topo map from the 40s. So there's things on here that are different than they are now. And then the one on the door out there is a brand new one.
Fascinating.
This is so cool.
And the coolest thing that we just got word that we're definitely doing is that we're going to be the only independent card company printing peanuts.
Wow.
Greeting cards.
Who doesn't love peanuts?
Yeah. So, and we're doing them in a funny format. We're doing them in a long format instead of like a standard greeting card format.
Because you could put them in standard envelopes. You could put them in 12s.
Yeah, but we're actually going to put them in what's called a policy envelope where you pull it out this way.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of a fun little
And
display.
they're just the peanut strips.
Peanut strips from the 50s up through today. So there's a lot of comics I have to go through.
I can think of worse things to do.
We are also working this year with the Edward Gorey Trust.
Oh,
wow, doing some greeting cards and some book plates.
Uh-huh.
So
wow, you've got some. It's all happening here in East Hampton too.
Yeah.
Because East Hampton is the coolest.
It's pretty
I have
cool.
One more little thing to show you guys. This cool little machine from the 50s is called a Ludlow, and we melt hot lead in it.
Whoa, that sounds safe. Can I have a sip?
Yeah, here I am stirring it up here with my spoon. And we put little molds into these forms, and it makes type for us.
Oh, wow.
So we'd make our own type right here. And push a button. The lead shoots down up into that mold, and out comes a very toasty, the fabulous 413.
You made us a fabulous 413. Is it cold?
It's very warm.
Oh, it's hot. Woo! Too hot.
You don't have your asbestos hands, Bill.
Here's a cold one.
Oh, wow.
If you want to put this in your pocket, you can have one too.
Oh, you need a pot holder for that one.
This is the best thing ever!
Okay, so that's
This is
good.
the coolest. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Coolest thing ever.
Glad you
This
guys
is a
made
very
that.
Mr. Rogers-y day when you come and see all of these things, all this art
Oh, yeah.
happening, and
This
then
is
you
how
see it happen in action, molten lead with a little shameless plug. I love it.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So that's it. There will be a lot more artists here. We have guest artists who will be here this weekend also, 10 to 5.
And
yeah.
then next weekend.
And next weekend, it's Saturday, the 13th.
Thanks.
6, 7, 13.
6, 7, 13.
6, 7.
6, 7.
No, just kidding. No.
I've been converted. Oh no!
No,
Khalees
because
is
it
here to
means
keep you on.
nothing, and this is an awesome thing. So let's lean
yeah.
into the awesome.
Lean into the awesome. And
instead of the mid that is 6, 7.
Thanks again.
Keeping it awesome. Thank you so much for coming by. It was
Thank
really
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks
fun
for
to have
having
you
us.
here.
This
Yeah.
is so cool.
Super great.
6, 7.
It's going to be a 6-7 kind of weekend. I have a feeling.
I hate this.
Open Studios is an underwriter of New England Public Media, but that is not why we went. It was just a fun thing to do, to go run around those open studios.
And also, Eastworks, who is also an underwriter of the station, is a pretty cool place. I don't mean to besmirch anything. Just the people who walk around and just like invite themselves into folks' space.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No, don't.
But when they're inviting you, like Open Studios, please go.
Go. On the next Fabulous 413, we celebrate the talent of the community and chat with the founder of Not a No Place, a QT BIPOC open mic. Camille Asia talks about the next event on December 6th.
And we'll have live music from the mod-leaning, catchy bedroom pop of the Janines before you can see them at the Drake and Amherst on Friday night. We're listening to them now.
Plus, 'tis the season for bubbles, so we'll head to the brand new digs of Provisions for a sparkling wine Thunderdome and preview of their champagne tasting, which is next weekend. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Clee Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.